Take a look.
What's going on, guys? It's your boy Big Hero Chris back at you with another one. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe, give me a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, hit me up on Twitter, TikTok, the community post. You already know the vibes, and it's Wednesday, so you already know what that means. It's time for your AEW Dynamite review, and this is actually like 3 hours of AEW. Like, you have Dynamite, and then after that you had Rampage. And I'm gonna be 1,000% honest with you guys. Like, normally I would try to thug it out and tough it through Rampage and review both shows, but looking at what they had on the show, man, I'm like, nah, Dynamite will do. That'll do, pig. That'll do. So it's just gonna be a straight up Dynamite review. Like, you already know the vibes. And I gotta say, I gotta be 1,000% honest with you guys, man. This was way better than last week's episode of Dynamite. Now, last week's episode of Dynamite had some mixed reviews. Like, as far as the overall show goes, the closing angle between the Elite and Tony Khan was like one thing that everybody pretty much either liked it or you didn't, but for the most part people really liked it. But as far as this week's episode of Dynamite goes, way better, 1,000% better, man. It was, of course, it was the follow-up of what happened last week. It actually started off with Tony Khan live from Jacksonville with his neck brace on, doing his best Roderick Strong impression. He had his neck brace on, and he said that due to his health, he was not cleared to travel because Dynamite took place in Toronto, or not Toronto, but Winnipeg, I think. It was in Canada, and the doctors didn't clear him to fly all the way out to Canada. And as Tony Khan is speaking, the feed keeps coming in and out. It keeps cutting in and out, and it cuts to the Elite. And the Elite says, we're praying for you, Tony, blah, blah, blah. But however, due to their ironclad contracts, they're untouchable pretty much, meaning that they can't be fired, they can't be suspended. They're pretty much untouchable. So due to the fact that Tony Khan is unable to run the show, he's doing it remotely. But the EVPs are saying, nah, we got a big dog, we're going to take it from here. So the Young Bucks, the EVPs, they're pretty much taking over the show. They cut to the new intro, which is pretty much highlights of the Young Bucks and Okada and Jack Perry. And I can't lie to you, that was really funny. Like, that really popped me a lot. But then we go to whose house? Swerve's house. And this is how Dynamite should have opened up last week, with Swerve, coming out, addressing the people, addressing the fact that he's the new AEW champion. And Swerve addressed the EVPs and what they did to Tony Khan, and he elaborated on what he said on Collision. He pretty much called the Young Bucks bitches. He said what they did was a bitch move. And he said that they're gonna get there. We're gonna deal with that eventually. But Swerve was out here to find out who his new opponent was. But you know how wrestling works. You can't mention somebody without them, getting involved some way, shape, or form. And seeing as, like I said, the Young Bucks are running the show pretty much, they come back on the screen and say, listen, Swerve, you can't just talk about us and not think there's going to be consequences. So your first opponent is going to be a Canadian champion. They're trying to hype it up like it's going to be Kenny Omega, but I knew what time it was. I knew whose father was coming out. It was the greatest father of all time, the father of the year, the hater of the year. Christian Cage is officially Swerve's first opponent. He's going to challenge Swerve at Double or Nothing. And this was something I kind of figured was going to happen, that I wanted to happen, that I prayed to happen, and here we are. So Christian comes out, he gets on the mic. He doesn't say anything at first because he punches Swerve in the face with the microphone, and him and his dinosaur and his adoptive son proceed to attack Swerve. They're putting the beat down on him. Nick Wayne hits a cutter on Prince Nana, and the whole time I'm thinking, yo, man, this sucks for Swerve, man. It's really unfortunate that he doesn't have his own crew, his own stable, his own affiliates, or his embassy or something like that to come out and help him, Me personally, if I had a squad of people, a squad of big dudes like Brian Cage, for example, this is just examples, but Brian Cage, Khan, and Toa Leona, they had my back, and they didn't come out, I would just drop them immediately, but that's another story for another day. But Christian then gets on the mic, and he explains why this is happening. He explains the fact that Swerve, not that long ago, attacked Nick Wayne in his own school. He cost Christian his a big win for him, a big tag team win against Sting and Darby Allin at All In last year in front of 80,000 people. So this is pretty much why Christian wants his revenge. He wants to take everything away from him, including the AEW Championship. And then he proceeds to tell Swerve that his daughters will not remember him. They're gonna remember Christian as being the greatest father ever. And I'm like, yes, this is exactly what I wanted. This official tissue. Double or Nothing, Las Vegas, Swerve versus Christian, AEW Championship. And like I mentioned, man, Swerve, he has his own squad. He has the Mogul Embassy, because they flashed to Brian Cage taking on Claudio. And you see Prince Nana in the background. I'm like, yo, what is the point of having an embassy? What is the point of having your own stable? What is the point of having a whole bunch of big, beefy dudes that don't come out and help you to fight off the dinosaur and the child? You know what I'm saying? But I'm gonna go ahead and fast forward to Brian Cage versus Claudio Castagnoli. Not really too much to say for this match. It was two big meaty men bumping me. You already know the saying and the catchphrase and all that. Claudio ended up getting the win with the sharpshooter. Not really too much to say about this. I don't really see the point of this match, other than to remind you that you're affiliated with Swerve, man. You could have helped that boy out, but fast forward back into the earlier part of the show. Adam Copeland defending his TNT Championship. Copeland, it's looking like he's going through the entire House of Black, because this match, the opening match, was between Adam Copeland and Buddy Matthews. And I do believe that this is the first time that Edge and Buddy Matthews have wrestled. And it was a pretty solid match. The crowd, they were kind of quiet. I'm like, yo, y'all need to turn up a little bit, man. It's Cope, man. It's Edge, man. Turn up a little bit. Because, Edge and Buddy Matthews, they were cooking. They were doing their thing. Edge hit a suicide dive. I'm like, yo, you're kind of too old to be doing that. But, it is what it is. He's riding his own horse. But, yeah, man, this was a pretty fire match. And there was even one spot during the match, towards the middle of the match, where they did that thing where they collide in the middle. Cope and Buddy, they met, and it looked like Buddy Matthews was a little jacked up because he was coughing up blood. He was looking a little jacked up in the game, but he was working. He was a thug. He thugged it out, but he wasn't thug enough to defeat Edge, because Edge hit the spear 1, 2, 3. And then after the match, Cope looked a little pissed off. He looked like he was like, I'm tired of these spooky bastards or whatever. So he goes outside of the ring, gets 2 chairs. It's looking like he's setting up for the concerto. The lights go out. Malachi Black appears. He's telling him, Cope, do it, man. Just hit him with the concerto. And it looked like Edge was about to do it. He was about to gear up and hit him with hit Buddy Matthews with the concerto. But then the lights go out and they both disappeared. And then it was announced that next week is going to be another TNT Cope Open Championship match. Edge, I keep calling him Edge. He's always going to be Edge to me. Edge versus Brody King. So that should be an entertaining match. And even later in the match, you had Adam Copeland and Kyle O'Reilly talking to each other. And it's like, you need me, I got your back, and I got your back too. Blah, 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 blah. So after this, we had a funeral. Samoa Joe buried, killed, murdered, massacred Isaiah Cassidy. Rest in peace to him. So after this, we officially hear from Orange Cassidy. Now, last week on Collision Rampage, whatever it was, Trent Beretta and Chuck Taylor had a parking lot brawl. And unbeknownst to all of us, unbeknownst to the AEW Galaxy, I don't know if this is real. I don't know if this is work or shoot, brother. But apparently, according to Orange Cassidy, that was Chuck Taylor's last match. Because, he's been dealing with injury. He hasn't been cleared. But he did have the parking lot brawl with Trent. And that was his last match. Chuck had to retire. what a way to find out this information that Chuck Taylor can no longer wrestle. But you know, Orange Cassidy, he's actually really upset about this. He said he wanted this all to end. He deep down, he really wanted the best friends to get back together, but Trent said that, nah, screw all that, man. You made this all about you, and this is what happens. And it looked like Orange Cassidy was about to run up on Trent. However, security broke it up. And to my surprise, I was thinking that Don Callis was scouting Trent, when in actuality, he was scouting Orange Cassidy. So I really don't know where this is going to go. I don't see Orange Cassidy turning heel because Trent just turned heel. So I don't know. I do see Trent joining up with the Don Callis family. I do see what's his name, Kyle Fletcher getting the boot. I do see them turning on Will Ospreay, and you know, Trent joining up with the Don Callis family. I don't really know how to feel about that, but yeah. So after this, we have a backstage segment with the EVPs, Matthew and Nicholas. They say, you know, they've been doing a lot of talking. It's time to hear from Jack Perry. And Jack Perry pretty much says that this is the era of the Elite. Not too much to say about that. But after this, we have a match for the FTW champion, the For the World Championship. Chris Jericho taking on Shibata. And I can't lie to you guys, man. At first, I was not interested at all. Like, I didn't care. However, it pains me to admit this, but this was kind of fun. I can't lie to you. I don't know what black magic Chris Jericho was working, but he started to win me back over, man, with his new gimmick, with him being the learning tree, with his crappy gimmick. Apparently this is a Fozzy theme, but it sucks. But it works for whatever Chris Jericho is doing, being the delusional heel that doesn't see himself as the heel. He sees himself as the veteran that needs to teach us all lessons and have us all under his learning tree. And speaking of the learning tree, you had Big Bill come out and chokeslam Shibata through a table, and that gave Chris Jericho the win. 1, 2, 3. You know, it was an entertaining match. It was pretty fun. There was kendo sticks and hockey pucks and tables. Oh my! So yeah, man, Chris Jericho, you son of a bitch, you're starting to win me over, man. I hate to admit it, but it is what it is. Rocky Romero challenged Kyle O'Reilly to a match at Rampage. I do not care. But what I do care about is Mariah May, because this is the first day of May. It's May Day, it's May month, it's Mariah May month. Mariah May is taking on Serena Deeb. And this was a pretty solid match. It was pretty fun. However, the professor was too much pressure for Mariah May. She had her locked in, I think, in a single leg Boston Crab, and she was slamming Mariah May's knee into the mat. And surprisingly, Toni Storm couldn't take it. She couldn't bear the pressure of her protege, her clone, whatever you want to call her, being tortured to this degree. And she ended up throwing in the towel on behalf of Mariah May. So yeah, man. And it was made official with this win. I guess the rankings matter, even though they kind of really fucking don't. That Serena Deeb will challenge Toni Storm for the AEW Women's Championship at Double or Nothing. And I see Toni Storm winning. And I kind of see Mariah May, I guess, turning heel, even though they already are heels. But, you know, the people love them. So, yeah, but it is what it is. We have another match on the card for Double or Nothing. And now, we have the return in his home country of Canada, his hometown of Winnipeg. Even though we love him all the way here in North Carolina, he is Kenny by God Omega. He made his return, his triumphant return to AEW. Now, Kenny Omega has been out for quite a while. He's been battling diverticulitis, which, you know, according to Kenny Omega, they caught it just in time, because if he would have waited another day to get this situation taken care of, Kenny Omega possibly could not be alive right now. So, you know, I am happy that Kenny did get this taken care of. However, this still is a tough road of recovery for Kenny, because the doctors pretty much said that your options are you either get the surgery, you either have to have a colostomy bag. But it was kind of looking like Kenny was giving a retirement speech, but Kenny said that, look, man, I've been watching. I mean, even though I didn't want to, he's been ODing. He's been he's been going through withdrawals with not being able to wrestle. Like, he watched Dynasty, he watched Swerve make history, he watched Will Ospreay versus Bryan Danielson have the greatest match of all time, and he said, you know what, man, he's gonna quit on his own terms, and when the time is right, he's gonna return to wrestling. But as of right now, you know, he can't really do too much. But even though the Elite, the Young Bucks fired him from the Elite, he's still an EVP, so he has power too. So it's looking like they're gonna do a whole power struggle angle between Kenny and the Young Bucks. However, Okada comes out and they have a face-to-face in the AEW ring. The crowd is chanting, holy shit. And Okada proclaims himself to be the new best bout machine. And then Kenny is attacked by Jack Perry. And you know, he's trying to do his thing. He's trying to fight off Okada and Jack Perry. And for the most part, he's doing a pretty good job. Even though he's battling diverticulitis, he's selling his abdomen, he's selling the midsection. But the number game was too much. You know, Jack Perry ended up hitting Kenny in the ribs with a chair. And it's like, oh man, because you just heard what Kenny Omega said about his diverticulitis really being a ticking time bomb. So it's like, man, he's really selling the fact that Jack Perry is whooping this man's ass. And then you have Matthew and Nicholas come out and they hit Kenny with the EVP trigger. And then they just beat up Kenny Omega. And of all people to come out and make the save is the FTR. And I'm like, wow, that's pretty surprising. Have FTR come out and save Kenny Omega. But they were too little too late. Way to go, FTR bald and hair. Kenny is being stretchered out. And this is when it kind of shifts from Dynamite to Rampage. And they did a pretty good job of trying to keep you around for Rampage. But it was like, once this segment was over, I was like, yo, let me just record so I can just get this up and over with. But the EVPs, the Elite, attack Kenny again before he can be stretchered out into the hospital and taken to a local medical facility. And that's how Dynamite ends, with the Elite standing tall over Kenny's busted, battered, and banged up body. So, you know, I'm with it, man. I'm really digging what the Elite is doing as far as their takeover of AEW, with them really trying to force Tony Khan out of power, with them attacking Kenny Omega. I'm digging it, man. I'm here for it. But with that being said, guys, what do you think of this week's episode of Dynamite? Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Did you not care? Let me know in the comment section below. Of course, as always, like, comment, and subscribe. You guys take care. Be easy. I'm out. Peace.